A few days ago now, I made a video talking about all the different crypto gaming projects out there, over 140 different projects. And the immediate question you're going to ask me here is, which projects are the best projects there? Is there such thing as finding the next 100x in crypto gaming, the things that you're looking for? Which projects would I actually go ahead and buy in this enormous list of crypto gaming projects? And that's what I seek to go ahead and answer in today's news update video. I'm going to catch you up to speed on what's going on in the crypto gaming space. If you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So, as always, just going over the markets right now, we're doing a bit of a rebound. The total market cap for crypto gaming is at $21 billion, which means the market is in a bit of a recovery. It's in hope mode right now. But of course, there are a couple things that are going on right now that I think are a little bit interesting in the TGE sector, namely a couple of the TGE events that have happened very recently, these token launches. Hamster Combat was the biggest one in recent history. This one actually came out a couple days ago, so very, very, very recent. This is a Telegram game where people just clicked. That's all they ended up doing. And for a clicker game, $371 million, that is a market cap that I feel a lot of crypto games are envious of. Something that a lot of crypto games, especially in the indie side, the smaller side, would be very proud of going ahead and achieving. Since then, the actual market cap has dropped, and people that actually farm this thing, they got a pretty menial airdrop. Opinions on this very quickly. It reminds me that, for one, the Telegram narrative is obviously still very strong. Also reminds me the fact that you don't necessarily have to have a great crypto game. You just have to have the sense of belief that the people, the masses that are farming any one given airdrop will actually make money, creating a ton of hype, which will give you a bunch of artificial numbers, which will get you into the biggest centralized exchanges on the planet, namely Binance in this scenario. Notcoin had the exact same thing happen. People made money on Notcoin, not a lot of money, but enough money for the actual ecosystem to grow. The TON Foundation, the open network, wanting to see crypto gaming get its legs on their network. And so that's why we're seeing Hamster Combat and some of those Telegram crypto games do so well. It's not necessarily about the great gameplay. It's more so about the full-on DeFi degeneracy that you go ahead and see when you are participating in whatever Telegram is doing these days. Other ones, Dark Times TGE'd. Dark Times boast what seems to be better gameplay than most crypto games. However, they didn't really have anything. They delayed it for a couple months. And so a lot of that hype that they had beforehand died out. Good thing for them. They have the Sui narrative going on. Sui's right now the fastest growing chain out there in terms of, volume TVL coming into their chain. Doesn't really matter, though, if you launch into one centralized exchange, namely Gate.io, that doesn't allow US customers or, many of the different countries in the world to trade on it. Then you're going to get the scenario where you're having a liquidity crisis, which is what's happening right now on Dark Times. A lot of people got upset on their launch. There were a lot of angel investors, including myself, that got in at like 30 mil, 45 mil-ish FDV to 15 mil FDV. So, of course, it kind of is rough. It spells the fact that you need to be ready with some kind of hype to go ahead and launch. You can't do the Web2 approach where you just launch a token and then eventually we'll go ahead and show you the game, because it's just not going to work right now. Last one. This is a brand new TGE as well. I think this one's from today. It's called Universe. I don't personally know anything about the project, but I know that it launched on BitGet. This is the chart right now. It's looking okay. It doesn't have a crazy amount of volume as well. Just another very modest launch in the crypto gaming space. Does this mean that the crypto gaming space is in full-on euphoria? It doesn't mean that. And that's, I think, the main lesson that you should be taking here. There are going to be a lot of different crypto gaming tokens that are going to be launching this quarter. A lot of different tokens. Doesn't mean that you need to be buying all of them. I believe that while I may have broken even essentially on all of my angel investments from quarter one of earlier this year, I haven't really made much profit. And, some people are like, oh, I'm down on my investments. So, You got to be grateful for what you have, but reasonably so. We're investing to go ahead and see if we can make some proper returns. And a lot of the time, those proper returns are being made on some of the more consistent plays in the crypto gaming space. For example, a lot of people like to hate on, 𝐉𝐸𝐴𝐻 because they believe the ecosystem isn't growing or blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if we look at the yearly chart, it's up 193%, right? And if we look at, Ronin, for example, people will go ahead and say, oh, but it's practically about to get hacked again, and they had a bit of a scare and all these different things. And yet, if we look at the chart, it's up 295% on the year. And trust me, this is not primarily volume that's coming from people actually playing the games on Ronin. It's because of speculators that are predicting that Ronin will continue to gain dominance. There's something that people need to understand. Traditional investing doesn't really make sense in crypto gaming or in really any niche within crypto. The valuations are absurd. Even right now, $20 billion for what we have as an industry makes literally no sense. It's just how crypto works. We're in La La Land, and La La Land is very exciting because it allows people to go ahead and trade against each other in a completely decentralized fashion. It's a PvP game right now. That's what we're seeing right now. And so when we're basing our investments, there are a lot of people that, they're seeing the Dark Times token going out there and they're like, oh, well, hit 15 mil. So even if you have a product, if you have all these backers, it doesn't really mean anything. Maybe it was the fact that they didn't have their game out there and that's why they weren't a success. Or you see Universe and the valuation here could have been higher. And then, of course, they see Hamster Combat and they're just confused. The answer is that logically speaking, most of this isn't going to make sense. And the only way you can make sense of it is either you're the project founder, you know exactly what's going on, or you're someone that has invested post-TGE when the token has already launched. This is why I say on the channel, even the tokens that are coming out, if I'm talking about upcoming gaming projects, you shouldn't be aping into these for the most part, unless, crypto gaming nodes we do cover on the channel. We have a lot of pre-sale data to pinpoint what exactly needs to happen for the project to be a success. But either way, these are very high risk investments. And at the end of the day, as you will see on this tier list that I've created, it's a lot of those projects from 2021 that continue to be here today, or they have a cross narrative that really promotes them, such as Echelon Prime and their Prime token. These are the kinds of things that we're looking for projects that are actually going to make it. The projects that have shown themselves to be winners in the past and have continued to just use that market share dominance that they've had in the past to go ahead and continue to win. There's a lot of people that might argue, Star Atlas doesn't really have any gameplay. And, I'll say, well, they do have gameplay, obviously, right? But they haven't had any crazy updates on their Unreal Engine 5 build. It's not a finished product just yet. Even if you can argue, about 𝐷 and Sage Labs, people could still argue. But, I would say, for one, their economy in Sage Labs is very, very polished. People are actually using this. They're interacting. A percentage of all Solana transactions are going straight to Sage Labs. There are a lot of things going on. They're a leader on Solana. They had, the Solana, I don't even know what it's called. They had a little bit of a side event, a huge side event on the Solana breakpoint. And in my opinion, that's kind of what you need. You need to show yourself as a dominant winner and continue going there. So let's cover other stuff that you might not have heard and a little bit of alpha from other crypto gaming content creators. So this is from Oscar. I'm also part of the Wolves DAO, so shout out to the Wolves DAO. He went ahead and asked 13 traders, creators, and builders to go ahead and rate some of their top crypto gaming picks, from infrastructure picks, gaming tokens from this year, NFTs, all kinds of stuff. You'll see some similarities. You can actually see here from Oscar. He got the Korean list, which there was another list from a bunch of Korean content creators, versus the global list. So this is actually the global list, the one that you were looking at right now. And this is the list from the Korean side. You're going to see that there are, some changes. For the most part, there are a good amount of similarities. You see Avalanche gets a little bit more dominant. Solana in the US global side. Internationally, we're seeing SUI, the open network. Ronin, of course, being a common denominator from both of these sides. It's interesting to see, when people are talking about gaming tokens, Pirate seems to be a general consensus in the global side. On the actual Korean side, we're seeing MapleStory Universe take up a lot of that mind share, which I find to be very, very interesting. There are a lot of lessons you can take. People have many different perspectives. There is no right or wrong answer, but still something you should be paying attention to. On the US side, I feel like a lot of the time we're ignoring what's happening on the global sphere. For example, Olympics here, talking about the fact that 68% of respondents see the open network as the most promising gaming blockchain. Now, I think that whoever did this survey, it's probably just a bunch of airdrop farmers, because that's for the most part what people do on Ton. I don't think there's really that many people saying that BNB is going to be a major gaming chain, or even at this point, Ethereum. People are looking at L2s for actual gaming blockchains, but still an interesting data point to say the least. In other news, we've had stuff like Taiwan officially allowing professional investors to buy Bitcoin ETFs. We've also had Ohio State Senator introducing a bill to require Ohio to accept Bitcoin for taxes, which is more Bitcoin adoption. It gets Bitcoin that much closer to being legal tender. We have a bit of a point from Vader Research, which shout out to him, that talks about the different things that people have to go ahead and look at. Users who play your game will not buy your tokens, which is something I do tend to agree with. There is a no Web3 game listed on exchanges where active players own over 20% of the circulating token supply. It's absolutely true. You don't necessarily have to have a great game to have a token that pumps. You just have to have a token that creates that sort of speculation that you need for something to survive. Now, also, we have other point of views. For example, Bri over here saying perhaps it's not a must, but we would argue that the most valuable facet of any gaming token is the ability for the game or studio to generate recurring non-token revenue. And I'm like, that's great. But he's right also. Like, you'd have to make a ridiculous amount of revenue to warrant having a $100 million market cap. I also agree with Spark saying it's much easier to build a narrative and appeal to speculators with a polished, playable, and token sync. So 100% he's correct. Right now in the current state of crypto gaming, I do think we're going to have a lot of very solid titles, but I wouldn't base just the gameplay when I'm factoring in whether or not I would invest into something. Whether or not something looks and plays well doesn't really mean anything if it's overvalued. So just something you should go ahead and take into account. There are, upcoming mints that have come. It's going to be interesting to see how these actually perform. Some of them, for example, Seed World being paid mints, all the way to Today the Game, which is a free mint. I presume, free mints are going to do well naturally. And that's just something you have to see. These are the Korean content creators and their big list of games. And the last one that I wanted to go ahead and show is a post by Hunter Solaire talking about some of the things that he's looking out for in terms of crypto gaming projects coming out. The two things that he's primarily looking for, if you want to TLDR the entire post, is significant token allocations from teams that want to win with their holders, and a large or growing non-extractive user base within a game or on a chain. So the two examples he gave was Pirate Nation giving a ton of their airdrop to their actual holders and users, as well as Infinigods, which is trying to do the exact same thing. Have given out multiple airdrops in the past. They're going ahead and confirming a God airdrop coming. They recently announced another secret reward for holders, just mostly prioritizing the holders rather than just the founders or the venture capital funds within them. So just a couple easy pinpoints to go ahead and digest. Hopefully it helps you learn more about the crypto gaming space, make better decisions for your investments. Until the next time, stay classy, and that's all.